Welcome back, horror fans. Today, we have a special treat for you. As we celebrate love and romance, we're diving into the darker side of Valentine's Day. Get ready for 3 chilling stories that remind us that not all love stories have a happy ending. So grab your partner, or maybe just a pillow, and let's get started. Story 1, The Love Letter. Our first story takes us to a small town where a young woman named Christina was eagerly awaiting Valentine's Day. She had a crush on a boy named Jake, and she decided to confess her feelings by writing him a heartfelt love letter. On the morning of February 14th, she slipped the letter into his locker, her heart racing with excitement. But as the day went on, Jake didn't respond. Instead, he seemed distant and avoided her. Confused and hurt, Christina decided to confront him after school. When she found Jake, he looked pale and shaken. "Did you send me a letter?" he asked, his voice trembling. Christina nodded, but Jake's expression turned grave. "I thought it was a joke. It was signed by someone named the Shadow. I thought it was just a prank." Terrified, Christina rushed home and searched online for the Shadow. What she found chilled her to the bone. A local legend about a spirit that haunted the town, known for sending love letters that led to tragic endings. That night, Christina received a text from an unknown number. "You should have never sent that letter." From that day on, she never felt safe again, always looking over her shoulder, wondering if the Shadow was watching her. Christina's breath hitched in her throat. The playground vanished into darkness. The swings, the slide, the trees, everything blinked out of existence, and she was no longer standing beside Jake. She was somewhere else, somewhere wrong. The air was thick, oppressive. A dim, flickering red light illuminated the space, but she couldn't see the source. The ground beneath her felt soft, too soft, as if she were standing on something that pulsed faintly beneath her feet. Then, a voice. "You sent the letter." Christina spun around. The darkness shifted, forming into something tall and thin. It stood just out of reach, its limbs too long, its shape barely human. But the eyes, she could see them, deep, hollow voids that stared straight into her. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The thing took a slow step forward. "You let me in." A cold rush of air swept past her, and suddenly, the whisper was right in her ear. "Be mine." A scream ripped from her throat, and she was falling. The wake-up call. Christina's eyes snapped open. She was lying on the playground, gasping for air. Her head spun, and her skin was ice-cold. Jake was shaking her. "Christina, wake up!" She coughed, clutching at his sleeve. "What happened?" Jake's face was ashen. "You just collapsed. I thought..." He swallowed hard. "You were out for at least 5 minutes. I thought you stopped breathing." Christina tried to sit up, but the second she did, her stomach lurched. And then she saw it. A letter, crumpled, torn at the edges. But it wasn't old like Emily Carter's letter. It was new. It was hers. The love letter she had written to Jake. But something was wrong. The handwriting, it wasn't hers anymore. Christina's hands shook as she picked it up. She forced herself to read the words, and her blood turned to ice, because the letter had changed. The confession she had written, the words she had poured her heart into, were gone, replaced with 5 new words. "I belong to the Shadow." Her stomach twisted. She hadn't written that. She hadn't. A sharp ringing noise exploded in her head. She clutched her ears, her vision blurring. Jake, her phone buzzed. She knew before she even looked. Unknown number. "You should have never sent that letter." Jake grabbed her wrist. "We're leaving, now." Christina barely managed to stand as he yanked her away from the playground. The swings creaked behind them. Footsteps, soft and deliberate, echoed in the empty space. Neither of them dared to look back. The last letter, Christina didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. Even after she got home, locked the doors, and deleted every unknown number from her phone, the feeling didn't go away. The feeling of being watched. Her laptop was still open on her desk. The article about Emily Carter stared back at her. Emily Carter, dead on Valentine's Day, clutching a letter signed The Shadow. Christina's hands trembled as she reached for her keyboard. She had to know. She typed in a new search. Other victims of the Shadow. The page loaded, and her heart stopped. 3 names. Emily Carter, 1998, Jordan Fields, 2006, Maya Lopez, 2015. Each case was the same. Each person had sent a letter. Each one had vanished on February 14th. Christina scrolled to the bottom of the page. and there in the recent searches was a new entry. Christina Sullivan, 2024. She felt sick. No, 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 no. Her shaking fingers hovered over the keyboard, and then a new message popped up on the screen. A single line of text. "You let me in." Christina's body went cold. She spun around. The bedroom lights flickered, and standing in the corner of the room was a tall, thin figure. Watching, waiting, a whisper curled through the air. "Happy Valentine's Day, Christina." The screen glitched. Christina's vision blurred. The last thing she saw before darkness swallowed her whole was the unfinished letter still sitting on her desk, the ink bleeding into the page, rewriting itself. "I belong to the shadow." Story 2. The dinner date gone wrong. Our second story is about a couple, Mark and Lisa, who decided to celebrate Valentine's Day with a romantic dinner at a fancy restaurant. They were excited, dressed to the nines, and ready for a night of love. As they enjoyed their meal, Lisa noticed a man at a nearby table staring at them intently. She brushed it off as a coincidence, but the man's gaze was unsettling. Mark, noticing her discomfort, reassured her that it was probably just someone lost in thought. As the evening progressed, the man continued to watch them, and Lisa felt increasingly uneasy. When they finished their dinner and decided to leave, the man stood up and followed them out of the restaurant. Mark, sensing Lisa's anxiety, quickened their pace. They walked to their car, but as they reached it, the man approached them. "Excuse me," he said, his voice low and menacing. "I think you dropped something." Confused, Lisa looked around, but there was nothing on the ground. "What are you talking about?" Mark asked, stepping protectively in front of Lisa. The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You should be careful. Not everyone is as friendly as they seem." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving the couple shaken. Once inside the car, they locked the doors and drove off, trying to shake off the encounter. But as they drove through the dark streets, they noticed the man had gotten into a car and was following them. Panic set in as they realized they were being stalked. Mark took a series of turns, trying to lose him, but the man was relentless. Finally, they pulled into a gas station, hoping to find safety in a public place. They rushed inside, but when they looked back, the man was gone. Relieved, they thought they had escaped. But as they turned to leave, they found the man standing right outside the glass doors, staring at them with a chilling smile. "Happy Valentine's Day," he mouthed silently before disappearing into the night. Mark and Lisa never spoke of that night again, but they both knew they would never celebrate Valentine's Day the same way. Story 3. The gift that keeps on giving. Our final story is about a woman named Emily who received a mysterious package on Valentine's Day. It was beautifully wrapped, adorned with red ribbons and a card that simply read, "For you, my love." Excited and curious, Emily carefully unwrapped the package. Inside, she found a stunning vintage locket. It was exquisite, with intricate designs and a small, faded photograph inside. She felt a rush of joy and a strange sense of nostalgia, even though she had never seen the picture before. Emily wore the locket that evening, feeling a connection to the mysterious gift. However, as the days passed, she began to notice something unsettling. Each night, she would hear soft whispers coming from the locket, almost as if it were trying to communicate with her. At first, she dismissed it as her imagination, but the whispers grew louder and more distinct. They seemed to call her name, urging her to listen. One night, unable to resist any longer, she held the locket close to her ear. The whispers became clearer. "Help me, find me." Terrified, Emily decided to investigate the origins of the locket. She discovered that it once belonged to a woman named Clara, who had mysteriously disappeared on Valentine's Day many years ago. The more she learned, the more she felt a connection to Clara's tragic story. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily visited the local library and dug through old newspapers. She found an article detailing Clara's disappearance and the rumors surrounding it. Some said she had been murdered by a jealous lover, while others claimed she had run away to escape a life of despair. As Emily pieced together Clara's story, the whispers intensified, now pleading for her help. One night, she had a vivid dream where Clara appeared, her face filled with sorrow. "You must find my heart," she said, pointing to a location deep in the woods. The next day, driven by a mix of fear and compassion, Emily ventured into the woods, following the directions from her dream. After hours of searching, she stumbled upon an old, abandoned cabin. Inside, she found a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards. To her horror, she uncovered a small, decayed, heart-shaped box containing Clara's heart, preserved in a glass jar. The moment Emily touched it, the whispers stopped, and she felt a wave of relief wash over her. But as she turned to leave, she heard a voice behind her. "Thank you for freeing me," it said softly. Emily turned around, her heart racing, but the cabin was empty, and the voice had disappeared as quickly as it came. She felt a strange, unsettling silence take over the woods around her. Her breath caught in her throat as she held the jar with Clara's heart. Suddenly, the locket around Emily's neck grew unbearably cold. It pulsed with a strange energy, as if it were alive, calling out to her. The weight of it pressed against her chest, and she realized with growing dread that it was not over. The whispers had stopped, but now they were replaced by a faint, eerie feeling, a presence lingering just behind her. She quickly left the cabin, clutching the heart in her hands, trying to steady her frantic breaths. As she made her way back through the woods, the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the trail. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. When she finally reached her car and got inside, she breathed a sigh of relief, hoping she was done with the nightmare. But as she glanced down at the locket again, something strange happened. The photograph inside of it changed. The faded picture of Clara was replaced with a new image, a picture of Emily, taken in the exact same pose as the one inside the locket. Her stomach churned as she stared at it, unable to comprehend what she was seeing. Before she could react, the whispers returned, louder than ever before, echoing in her mind. This time, the voice wasn't pleading for help. It was angry, desperate. "You should have never found me." Emily felt a cold chill crawl down her spine. The locket wasn't just a gift, it was a curse, one that had bound her to Clara's tragic fate. It wasn't finished with her yet. She was now part of the story, woven into the mystery of Clara's disappearance in ways she couldn't yet understand. As she drove home, her mind raced. She had freed Clara's spirit, but at what cost? Was she now the next victim of the curse that haunted the locket? That night, Emily locked all the doors and windows, hoping to finally sleep in peace. But as she lay in bed, she heard something new, a faint tapping at the window, soft but insistent. She slowly turned her head toward the sound, only to see a shadow pass across the glass, followed by a whisper. "Emily, it's time to give me your heart." The locket, cold against her skin, began to pulse again. Emily knew then that her life would never be the same. She had thought she had freed Clara, but in truth, Clara had freed herself, and now Emily was bound to the same fate, cursed to never escape the whispers and the locket that would haunt her forever. And so the gift that had once seemed so beautiful, so full of promise, became her prison, a reminder that some gifts come with a price too high to pay. And there you have it, 3 chilling tales that remind us that not all Valentine's Day surprises are filled with love. Whether it's a stalker in the shadows or a ghost seeking closure, these stories show that love can sometimes take a dark turn. If you enjoyed these spooky stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a chilling tale. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What was your favorite story? Or do you have a scary Valentine's Day experience of your own? We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay safe this Valentine's Day. You never know who might be watching.